Hello everyone, welcome back to another Fudce Reviews board games video. This week, a game everybody's been talking about, well, some people anyway. Superfight, a game of absurd arguments from Skybound Games. Superfight is another game similar to Mad Science University we had a few weeks back, and also similar to Cards Against Humanity. It's a arguing game with black cards and white cards, very similar to a Cards Against Humanity. So let's open the board box and see what we got. Actually, before we open it, let's flip it over and see what we got. Superfight is a game where you argue with your friends over ridiculous fights. The game is very simple. It's fun for all levels and works for all kinds of players. Main deck consists of 500 cards split between character cards and powers and weaknesses. These cards are used to create fighters like this. As you can imagine, the argument over one-win fight is epic and hilarious. Now, fighting is just one way you can actually play the game, but that's the main way people play it, so we'll go with that. So open the board here, and you got the little leaflet that tells you how to play. But again, you don't really need that because it's quite a simple game. And as you can see from the cards here, you got white cards, and you have black cards. Each player gets a hand of 3 black cards and white cards, and the way it works, basic rules. The first player plays a white card from his hand. They're face down first of all, and a black card from my hand face down. Now I'm not going to see what they are. And player 2 plays a white card from his hand, a black card from his hand. Now, there's obviously more players than 2, so what happens next is they reveal who they're playing as. So player 1 has Bruce Lee with super endurance. However, they get a random black card with no idea what this Bruce Lee with super endurance is. It's armed with a live T-Rex head on a stick. Okay, and this one over here we have a dragon armed with a bow and unlimited arrows, and throws knives. So who would win a fight between Bruce Lee with super endurance, armed with a live T-Rex and a stick, or a dragon with bow and arrow and throws knives? That's actually quite a tough fight really, because Bruce Lee has super endurance, so he can survive a lot of crap. There's a live T-Rex head on a stick, but with dragon to breathe fire on Bruce Lee and kill him. But with super endurance, he can survive a lot longer. But I think the dragon's got so much ranged firepower, it doesn't need to get near Bruce Lee, despite him having a live T-Rex head and a stick. So I think dragon's going to win this one. So Bruce Lee gets discarded. So Bruce Lee goes in with dragon wins pile. And our player 3 had to play a card to try and beat a dragon. So player 3 plays Abraham Lincoln with literal jazz hands. And when a black card is chosen from a deck random, you can hold breath forever. So now you'd argue who could win that fight. And I think we all know that it would be Abraham Lincoln losing. So the next player again has to try and beat the dragon. He's got a saber-tooth tiger. Is Amish riding a horse. And so the game continues like that. If it eventually gets round to this player, they basically have to play a new card and play the next person along the line again. They basically win their dragon. That's how all I generally want to work with, because otherwise you end up with this player never being able to play the game again. You end up with an alternate combination. There are other interesting ways to play the game. For instance, you can have it as everybody playing a card and have a big brawl at the end of a game, and which one out of that group of people would win. Or you can play blind date style, where you have the dude who controls all animals. His bottom half is Queen. He wants to break free, goddammit. And then the other players have to play contestant number 1, contestant number 2, and contestant number 3, and introduce themselves, talk about how, and the person with a dude would then ask questions about, okay, so contestant number 1, identical twins. If you were to take me out on a date, what type of food would you make me eat? And player number 1 has to answer as though they're answering about their identical twins, who can stretch like rubber and is made of paper. So they're trying to answer a question as though they're those identical twins. Contestant number 2 would do the same thing. Contestant number 2 in this case being an Olympic gymnast, is a hoarder and can see 3 seconds into the future. And contestant number 2 would have a different question, of course. Contestant number 3 would be a vampire, is literally wearing beer goggles, and is 10 stories tall. So, what would the answer be? When player 1 would select a winner to go on a blind date with, based on the answers. You can have fun that way as well. There's many different ways to enjoy the game. Now there are lots and lots of expansions of this game. The game sort of lends itself to expansions because all you need to do is just print out more black cards and more white cards. I don't have any of those expansions yet because it's a game which is only officially available online. I don't think I've seen it in any game shops, but I could be wrong. I've not had a chance to buy any of them. Now you got the basic expansion, like you got the red box, you got the geek box, you got the green box. Red box is offensive cards, green box is family cards. You then got a box for locations for fights to take place in, a box for scenarios, so instead of fighting you have to do a scenario. Then you got themed boxes, like there's an anime box where all the cards are based on anime. You've got a sci-fi box. You got a box for The Walking Dead. Heck, you got a box for Mindcrack. So you can actually have a character card Good or Vintage Beef, has no legs, in a UHC. If you've no idea what that means, clearly you don't watch Mindcrack. But there's plenty of fun things to go with. So would I recommend Superfight? Yes, I would. It's a silly game. Leads to silly combinations. You can laugh your backside off at some of the combinations, and it's not quite as offensive as Cards Against Humanity. So it's much more family friendly to play. And of course, I keep bringing out the expansions, so the game's going to last even longer. So well done, Skybound Games. Your game of absurd arguments is this week's game of the week. It's this week's best game reviewed, and worst game as well, because I only review one game a week. And join me again next time for more reviews of when I review another game. If you've got any suggestions about what game I should review, leave it in the comments. If you enjoy the video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more of the same. Or don't subscribe, although I would prefer you did. Thanks for watching, bye bye.